Okay, we're going to talk about the number system. That's the very first thing that we're going to do in our super giant boldable. Okay, so it has the number system here. It has rational numbers, integers, whole numbers, and natural numbers, and they all go in the same category of rational numbers, and then irrational. So our categories are rational, irrational, and then rational divides into these subcategories. Okay, so I want you to remember we had the main categories are rational, irrational. So let's start with irrational. Rational is any number that can't be written as a fraction. Any number that can't be written as a fraction. Okay? So in a minute we'll come back to that, but that's where what we're gonna leave for right there. Okay, rational numbers is most of your numbers are gonna be rational that you deal with, but it's a number that can be written as a fraction. Okay. So if you're looking at that, breaking this down, you're going to go from rational and it's going to break into these subcategories. So the first subcategory is integers, and it's going to be not as broad as rational, but it's going to be a little bit smaller, and it's just going to be negative or positive whole numbers. Okay. Okay, our next category is whole numbers. So it's any number that can't have a decimal. They can be written as a fraction because it could be like 5/1, but it's going to include 0. So it's any number without a includes 0. Okay, so it can't have anything extra on it. And then natural numbers, remember we talked about those being counting numbers. So that's the same as you don't start counting with 0, 1, you start counting with 1, 2, 3. So it's just your counting numbers as you go up, and all of them are positive. Okay, so I'm going to throw out some numbers real quick, and then you're going to put them in the respective category. So my first number is going to be -2. Is it rational or irrational? Well, it's rational. Okay, so it's rational. So we move down. Is it an integer? Negative or positive whole numbers? Well, yes, it's a negative whole number. So we go down here. Is it any number without a decimal includes 0? Only positive. I should have put only positive here. Okay. So does it fall into whole numbers? No, it would stop right here. So -2 would be in your integer section, okay? And then let me throw out another one. How about +2, okay? So is it rational or irrational? Well, it's rational because it can be written as a fraction. Is it a negative or positive whole number? Yes. Is it a whole number? Yes. Is it a natural number? Yes. So 2 would go all the way to the inside of these categories, okay? 0. 0 is rational. It's an integer. And it's whole, but it is not a natural number. So 0 would go right about there, okay? So what about the square root of 35? Well, it's like going to be 5 point something. So it's going to keep on going.
Kyle Smith, please come to the office. Kyle Smith, please come to the office.
So we're going to call it irrational. And you know, the most famous irrational number is pi because it continues and it doesn't go into it. It has a fraction. They say 22/7, but it doesn't always work. So I'm going to give you a few more examples of things to write into this box. Okay, 7 is rational. 2.25 is rational. 33% is rational. 0, -2 we figured out is rational. 1/2 is rational. The square root of 25 is also rational, okay? Negative or positive whole numbers. So that could be anything. It could be 7, 0, -2, 2, 3. But 2 and 3 also fall into this whole numbers, and they also fall into the natural numbers also. Remember, counting numbers are 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on, okay? So we should have some pretty solid examples of all of these numbers. You could add 0, 1, 2, 3 there also, of all of these different types of rational and irrational numbers. Okay, so finish that up, and then that's where we're going to end this little subset today.